My relationship with District 5 it's a love affair. District 5 is very much a microcosm, I think, of San Francisco altogether. What makes it fantastic is its diversity. It's really a unique district. It extends westward from Gough Street, encompassing Hayes Valley, Western Addition, Lower Haight, Upper Haight, Cole Valley, Inner Sunset to 9th and Lincoln, and it bows all the way over to north of Panhandle, Japantown, and Lower Pack Heights.
What's unique about any community, especially the Western Addition, is that throughout, the way it's publicized throughout the shootings, murders, crime, and everybody running around thinking they're scared, that children come here with smiles on their faces. There's a community, a vibrant community here, despite of what people are saying.
Hayes Valley is unique in that there is so much here, ranging from the Zen Center where we're sitting today to the LGBT Center, the African American Arts and Cultural Center, the Korean American Center, are just some of the nonprofit institutions that are here, and then all of the shops and restaurants along Haight Street and Hayes Street, being within walking distance of City Hall and the symphony, the ballet, the opera. The neighborhood offers something to everybody.
This is the oldest and first Japantown established in the United States of America. It's where the Japanese first landed to begin diplomatic relationships in the mid and late 1900s. It was the first place where the consulate was established. All the first was created here, the first Buddhist church, the first Christian churches, the first nonprofit agencies, the first businesses were all created here. So it has a unique place in not only Japanese American history, but California, United States history as being the first settlement for Japanese to begin to develop community here in America. It's still a gathering place, not only for the Japanese Americans here in San Francisco, but really throughout the Bay Area.
Golden Gate Park is a great gift to this neighborhood. The physical beauty of the neighborhood is hard to beat. It is extraordinarily well served by public transit. Its central location is extraordinary. Without question, the Haight-Ashbury is one of the most famous neighborhoods in the world. So there is a certain live and let live tradition. It's actually a surprisingly small town feeling. If you choose to buy a house in the Haight-Ashbury, you're choosing to buy in to a folklore, to a sense of community, to the high hippie culture and all of that sensibility. And so it may attract 5 drug dealers from Des Moines. It also attracts 7 lawyers from New York trying to live some sort of mythical hippie, what goes around comes around lifestyle too.
Both Western Addition, Fillmore, and Japantown are amazing neighborhoods and ones that deserve as much enrichment as we possibly can. Hayes Valley is being reborn as an adjunct of the Western Addition with the dismantling of the Central Freeway after Loma Prieta and the reinvestment within Hayes Valley. Now it's becoming this kind of chic area, which I hope does not lose its populism. Lower Haight is a wonderful, hip place, but it is suffered because of crime, I believe, and some of the economic downturn that we have noticed post-dot-com implosion. Upper Haight has always been just a mecca. It deserves collective attention in making sure Haight-Ashbury is not compromised, but also an area that we want to make sure is accessible for all. Cole Valley, a neighborhood, to Haight is a bit of a hamlet, an enclave near the Haight in between there and UCSF and Inner Sunset. And then Inner Sunset, it's just a great swing area. What I mean by that is you just have such a great combination between merchants and residents, mass transit hub. Lower Pack Heights certainly wants to enjoy the prosperity of Pack Heights, but not want to lose its diversity that spills over from the Fillmore Western Addition area. In north of Panhandle, certainly it's a composite of everything that I just said. So those are the aspects of the district, neighborhood by neighborhood, that makes it a challenging and needy district, but one that I love responding to.
Welcome to another edition of District SF, SFG-TV's profile of San Francisco neighborhoods and their issues. I'm Jennifer Lowe. Today we'll be focusing on District 5. So let's get started by taking a look at the problems that the residents are facing.
Any of the problems that we speak of in District 5, I think we're speaking of about the city overall. And she'll share with you whether it's a question of housing or affordable housing, public safety, and making sure that, violent crime and the homicides that have plagued San Francisco for 2 years, unprecedented, which we haven't seen in 12 years, I believe. The kind of people displacement of, as I said, working class and African Americans. It speaks to a trend that I think overall we should be concerned about in San Francisco, so that this city 10 years, 20 years from now is not one that is delineated into two San Franciscos, or the haves and have-nots.
We are still in the midst of having to fight every single day for our portion of jobs for the city, for our portions of appropriate and housing for our community, and our share of whatever activities that can move a community forward. So that's like a constant fight. And if you go up to, for instance, Pacific Heights, if you go over to Forest Hill, we want the same thing they want. We want clean, safe neighborhoods. We want to walk down the street and see a store, walk in and get whatever we want. We want a library that's sufficient. We want police that walk down the street and not terrorize, but humanize people.
I think the biggest way of defining problems, if you will, in Hayes Valley is how do we achieve the balance? How do we keep the diversity? How do we keep a vibrant neighborhood with so many people involved? Real estate developers are targeting the area for people just to come and be freeway close to Silicon Valley where they might work. And we're concerned about what balance that takes away from the neighborhood if you have people who don't really feel a part of it because they're just commuting. We have families that live here who may be in difficult social economic terms, and what can we give to them? How do we achieve balance between those families and the people who can come in and drop $100 for dinner?
The Japanese American community here in San Francisco is small relative to some of the other cities throughout the Bay Area. A lot of our challenges that we're facing is demographics and sustainability. In a lot of ways, San Francisco has just become really family unfriendly. I mean, I see it here in this community. I mean, I don't see kids running up and down the streets playing or going to and from places anymore. I see playgrounds empty, schools closing. Something's wrong here, because families are a big part of making up a neighborhood. And I don't see them here in this community.
In many parts of San Francisco, a delicate balance must be maintained to meet the needs of visitors, shoppers, and the local residents. Let's see how District 5 manages this balancing act.
I think we do a fairly good job, of balancing the needs of the residents with those of tourists in District 5, because District 5 is a high tourist destination. In essence, we're kind of host to the crown jewels of San Francisco. We have all these great merchant areas attached to all these just wonderful neighborhoods that attract tourists to come from all over the world. The very notion that we are tourist rich in our district is the very notion that adds to the reason why I yammer, yelp, and scream for services from the Rec and Park Department to make sure our parks, our gardeners are there doing what they're supposed to do, making sure that the police are accessible and that they're seen, and they're not just being a deterrence, but they're being the kind of peace brokers where they are engaging people, making people feel good about being there while sending a signal that crime is not welcome. Where to our sanitation, our public works department, to making sure that whether it's a resident or merchant car or a tourist car is not going to fall in a pothole and we have to tow it out. Those are all sort of the elements of what makes our district a happy district to those who live there and to those who are visiting there.